Last outing for Sacramento, they won that game against the Lakers in Los Angeles.
Seemed like they hit every big shot they had in that game. Kevin, their offense was clicking, but really clutch in big moments.
That's ideally the way you want it to unfold on the road, Steve. Don't even give the fans a chance to get into the game.
And a moment now to reset the lineups, courtesy of Gatorade, all fueled up for the second quarter of basketball. And the Clippers, looking at who they've got, Crawford and Barnes filling out the wings. Blake Griffin down low and DeAndre Jordan. And it's Paul in at the 1 spot. Let's check out what Doris Burke has for us.
Hi, Kevin. The Wizard in their last time out against the Lakers just played phenomenal. He ended with an amazing number of points, and in addition to his scoring, he also came away with a season high for rebounds. It was a performance for the ages, and one that will have the whole league talking.
Thanks, Doris, for revisiting what was an astounding performance, Clark.
It clearly was one of those games that when we look back on his career, this game will be right there among the best ever that he's played.
Well, he was in the zone from the outset. It was just one of those games where he was feeling it. Everything was going his way, and he attacked, and that's what I like. Once he knew it was his night, he just attacked relentlessly.
Here's Griffin. Sacramento making their last shot. Can they get it? No luck. Excellent D there from Landry.
Excellent. Really solid job, actually, by the defense to get in his way as he was going up for that one. Boy, you look at the Clippers, and they clearly are one of the most entertaining teams in the NBA. One of the outstanding team shows you'll see. They have fun. They're up and down. But they're a hard-working group, and a lot of that you have to attribute to their leader, Chris Paul.
Now Barnes. After the missed 3 from Jordan, Barnes kicks to Griffin. Shot clock at 6. That doesn't go either for Griffin.
Major defensive lapse right there. I mean, he's not a player you can leave open for a jump shot. You got to stay attached to him. They're lucky he couldn't punish him for it.
Boy, look at the big ups, Clark.
Major bounce there. I mean, he can fly, folks. Really fly.
We're seeing more and more of that, it seems, guys, out of the point guard spot in the NBA these days.
Jason Thompson, he's checked in for Sacramento. Patterson comes in for Carl Landry. Well, Clark, as you were taking a look at the Clippers, they are a fun team. The Los Angeles Clippers, they come into this one following a loss to New York.
Yeah, it seemed to me their three-point shooting was their own worst enemy in that game, Clark. I mean, even their wide-open looks weren't falling.
Yeah, and I'm sure when they think back on that game, Steve, their main regret is going to be that they didn't get away from the three-point shot early on. They kept going to it.
Jordan, he's in at point guard. Thornton and Selmans, the 2 and 3. Patrick Patterson is out there at Thompson. So that's the 5 in the game for Sacramento. And Doris Burke has something for us. Hey, Doris.
Gentlemen, Chris Paul re-signed with the Los Angeles Clippers this offseason, a 5-year max contract for over $100 million. But he held the Clippers' feet to the fire before he did, pressuring them to acquire Coach Doc Rivers, who was also given final say in the front office. For Chris Paul, winning a championship is his ultimate goal, and he hasn't been shy about throwing his weight around off the court as well as on it. Kevin?
Well, he's certainly doing just that. Thank you, Doris. And here is Jordan following the 3 from Thornton. That's good. And now 24 points for Jordan. And now we'll get a perspective here on the hustle game, how it's been going for Sacramento.
And they've come out in attack mode defensively, applying pressure and stealing the ball repeatedly.
You know, another thing they've done well, guys, this first half is challenge shooters and change shots. A bunch of block shots early. That is not enough coverage. Got to do better than that defensively. Basically, no coverage. I mean, defense did not look very good there.
Selmans from outside. That drops. Selmans got 6 points.
They're hovering around 50% for the game in three-pointer. That's pretty good.
pass to Bullock. The feed to Crawford. And so he earns a trip to the line. Officials saw the contact, and he'll shoot two. Well, Clark, as you said, the Kings struggled against the West, really against Western teams not in their division. They would play the division tough, but didn't do much against, Steve, the other two Western divisions.
Well, they only won 14 games against the rest of the conference, which was the fewest of any team in the West last year. But of those 14 wins, 7 came against the Pacific. So that's kind of interesting when you look at the disparity between their wins.
Looking at the last game for Sacramento, it was a win against the Lakers in Los Angeles.
You know, their shooting percentage in that game, you look at the box score, it's just off the charts. I watched the tape. It was mostly because their offensive execution was flawless.
Yeah, they did such a really nice job of moving the ball side to side, opened up the court for them. It makes it tough for the defense when you spread out and move the ball the way they did, and they got high-quality shots as a result.
Here's Bullock. Misses the three, and he used the pump fake well there, but he couldn't capitalize. The drive by Jordan. Back to Landry. Jordan with some nice D.
Now, he was right there, but the defensive pressure forced that miss.
Well contested. That really made it a tough shot.
And boy, that looked like goaltending. Yes, it is, and so they will award the basket there.
He didn't get to that one quite in time, Kevin. Those can be tough to gauge sometimes.
That whistle got a big response from this crowd, and it is not.
Basketball isn't easy. All my life,
Last outing for Sacramento, they won that game against the Lakers in Los Angeles.
And they did just what you have to do as a road team, guys. They never allowed any momentum to build up against them. It seemed like every time they took a punch, they had a counter.
You'll like this, Steve. Reverse spurtability, we call that. They had any defensive lapses, they immediately made up for it with some instant offense.
Jordan, he's in at the point. Thornton and Selmans, the 2 and 3. Thompson is out there with Patrick Patterson. So that's the 5 in the game for Sacramento. And that one's good. And 12 points for Chris Paul.
What a job he's doing here. I mean, his second quarter has been even better than his first, and that was pretty good. Sacramento really had a lot of problems finding consistency game to game, and it showed up when they would have to take on other teams in the West. Just didn't look quite as cohesive and as desperate to win as the rest of the conference, and that ends up costing you games.
Here's Paul after the made shot from Thompson. Crawford drives in. Great D that time from Thompson.
You know, he just hasn't looked right to me. A bit out of sorts, if you will. Something's off with his mechanics, at least as I look at it.
Let's go now to the sideline and catch up with Doris Burke. Hey, Doris.
Hi, Kevin. The Wizard in their last time out against the Lakers put on a show. He finished with an incredible amount of points, and that scoring outburst set a new season high for him in what was a great exhibition on his part. Truly impressive numbers from him in a stellar performance. What a special night.
They need a good offensive possession.
Yeah, they've had a number of empty ones, a long time without a basket.
They got to find something right. And stolen by Jordan. Thornton. That drops, and it comes off an assist from Jordan.